Do you know what the loudest sound in this world is? It is not a scream. It is not thunder. It is not any kind of noise. It is silence. Yes, silence. The silence of this phone when it does not ring even once for 3 whole months. 3 months. Every morning you wake up and the first thing you do is look at the phone. Maybe someone called. Maybe someone sent a message. Maybe there is one simple text that says, "Dad, how are you?" But there is nothing. Nothing. All you hear is your own breathing inside an empty house. Quiet. So quiet that it almost feels like the silence is screaming. And do you know what hurts more than the silence? It is the truth behind it. The truth that there are people who should have filled that silence with their voices, but they chose not to. Sometimes you still pick up the phone. You hold it in your hand. You turn it over slowly, as if somehow, any second now, it might suddenly ring, but it does not. And with every day that passes, you feel it more and more, like you are slowly disappearing from their world, like you are no longer part of their life. And if you are watching this right now, do not lie to me. I know you have felt this too. I know there are nights when you just sit there, quiet, thinking, asking yourself the same painful question. Did I do something wrong? And that is where the pain begins. The kind of pain that is much harder to accept. I have 3 children. 3. And I gave them my whole life, not just money, not just time. I gave them everything I had. There was a time when I left my home and worked far away from the people I loved, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. They needed to go to school. They needed a better life than the one I had. While they were sleeping peacefully at night, I was awake somewhere far from home, tired, alone, quiet. And sometimes I would sit in a small room eating by myself, and I would tell myself, "It is okay. This is for my children. Every paycheck I earned, I sent it to them. I did not buy new clothes. I did not spend money on myself. As long as they had what they needed, I was fine. I still remember their first graduation. I could not be there. I was at work. But I watched it on a small screen, and I cried alone. But I was proud. So proud. I told myself, all of this was worth it. They grew up. They became successful. They built their own lives, their own families. And I am still here. The house is quiet. The dinner table is quiet. The phone is quiet. Sometimes I still open the old photos from when they were little, back when they would run toward me, smiling, calling out, "Dad!" But now, that is gone, and you cannot help but ask yourself, where did I fall short? Was everything I gave still not enough? And I know I am not the only one who feels this way, because as you listen to me right now, it almost feels like you are hearing your own story. And that is where something dangerous begins. Something you think is right, but slowly it starts destroying you. You know what you do next? I know, because I did it too. You pick up the phone. You look at their names on the screen, and even though you already know they may not answer, you still call. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe they are going through something. Maybe they simply forgot. You tell yourself the same excuses again and again and again. But the truth is, you are hoping. You are hoping to hear their voice one more time, even for a moment, even for just a few seconds. And when they do not answer, You leave a message. Hey, how are you? Call me when you can. It sounds simple, but deep down, you know it is not simple. It is not just a small message. It is a cry from your heart, a quiet way of saying, I miss you. I need you. Please do not forget me. And then you wait 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day, sometimes several days. And with every minute that passes, the weight gets heavier. Your chest feels tighter. And then your mind begins to turn against you. Maybe they are still angry with me. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I was not a good enough parent. And little by little, you start tearing yourself apart. Not because someone told you to, but because you are searching for a reason, any reason, to explain why they left you behind. And while you're doing that, you do not even notice what is happening. You hold on tighter, you chase them harder, and without meaning to, you show them that you are just sitting there, waiting, as if you have no other life except them. And even if they never say it, they can feel that. And do you know what people do when they feel that kind of weight? They pull away. They move farther and farther away. And the more they pull away, the harder you chase, until one day you reach a point where you barely recognize yourself anymore. And that is where one painful truth comes in, a truth that is hard to accept, but one you need to hear. So listen to me carefully, because this may be the most important thing you hear today. Stop. Yes, stop calling them. Put the phone down. Do not call again. Do not text them anymore, and most of all, do not leave messages that sound like you are begging for attention. I know that is painful to hear. I know. But it is the truth. They stepped away from you. And while you keep chasing them, there is one thing you slowly begin to lose: your dignity. You are not a beggar for love. You should not have to beg for attention from your own children. Think about that. The same children you raised, the same children you fed, the same children you sacrificed for. And now, you are the one chasing. You are the one pleading. That is not how it should be. Every call you make, every message you leave, only shows them more and more that you have no life of your own, that you are just sitting there, waiting, hoping. And do you know what people feel when they sense that kind of weight? Pressure. And when people feel pressure, their natural reaction is to pull away. So while you keep chasing them, they keep running farther away. And you only hurt yourself more, again and again, day after day. That is why you need to stop it now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Break the cycle. Stop chasing, because if you do not, you will be the only one who gets drained. And there is another truth, one that hurts even more than this. But you need to understand it before you can finally be free. So listen carefully, because this is the truth you will want to avoid. But it may also be the truth that sets you free. If you have to remind your child that you are still here, then somewhere along the way, they have already forgotten. Yes, that is how painful it is. And that is how simple it is. You do not have to remind someone you exist when they truly care about you. You do not have to chase someone who wants to stay. And if you have reached the point where you have to call, text, and leave messages just so they remember you exist, then it means they let go of you a long time ago. I know, that cuts deep, like a knife in the chest, but the truth hurts less than an illusion, because an illusion only makes your suffering last longer. Now think about this. When you keep calling them over and over, with sadness in your voice, sounding like you are completely alone, what do they see? They do not see a strong father. They do not see the man who sacrificed his life for them. What they see is a burden, a person with no life of his own except them. And even if they do not mean to, they will move farther away, not because they hate you, not because they want to hurt you, but because they do not know how to carry the weight of your sadness. And the more you show them that you need them to survive, the more you begin to lose your value in their eyes. I know that is painful to say, but it is true. Love that has to be begged for does not feel like love anymore. It starts to feel like pity, and you were not made to be pitied. You did not live this long. You did not struggle this much. You did not sacrifice so many years just to ask for pity from your own children. You still have dignity. You still have worth. And if they cannot see that right now, it does not mean you have no value. It only means they are no longer able to value you the way they should. And that is where the hardest battle begins. The battle with your own conscience. I know what you do at night, because I did it too. You lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, going back through the past again and again. Maybe I was too strict. Maybe I worked too much. Maybe I did not show enough affection. You search for the mistake. You look for the place where you fell short, just so you can explain why they left you behind. But listen to me. There is no perfect parent. None. I made mistakes too. Many of them. There were days when I was not beside them. There were times when I was so tired I had no strength left to talk. There were moments when I wish I had been softer, more patient, more present. But one thing is certain, I did not abandon them. I was there. I did what I could. I loved them in the only way I knew how. And if your children are still punishing you today for mistakes you made in the past, mistakes from 30 years ago, then that is no longer yours to carry. That belongs to them now. You cannot spend the rest of your life paying for the past. You cannot offer your dignity in exchange for forgiveness. That may never come. If they want to hold on to resentment, let them. That weight is heavy, but you do not have to carry it for them. It is time to forgive yourself. Yes, yourself. Because you did your duty. You carried your responsibility as a parent, and now peace is your right. You do not have to beg for it. You do not have to ask permission for it. It belongs to you. And once you begin to accept that, something inside you starts to change. One decision can lead you into a completely different way of living. Now, maybe you are thinking, if I stop calling them, what am I supposed to do? Do I just sit here? Do I keep waiting? Do I keep staring at the door and checking the phone? No, that is not the answer. The answer is this: plant your own garden. My grandfather once told me something. He said, if you chase a butterfly, it will only fly farther away. But if you build a beautiful garden, it may come to you on its own. And even if it never comes, you still have a garden. You still have something beautiful. You still have a life. And that is when I realized How many years had I spent just sitting there waiting? Waiting for a call, waiting for a visit, waiting for attention. It felt like my life had stopped because I was waiting for them to come back. Until one day, I got tired and I said to myself, enough. I stepped out of the house. I went for a walk. I started talking to my neighbors again. I joined a small group of older people in the community. We played chess. We shared stories. We laughed. I started cooking again. I pulled out an old family recipe, one I had not made in years. And little by little, something began to come alive inside me again, not because they came back, but because I started rebuilding myself. I became happy again. I became whole again. And do you know what happened? I stopped needing them. To fill the loneliness inside me, I began to fill it myself. So listen to me. Do not waste the time you have left waiting. Go outside. Learn again. Do something that makes you happy. Fill your life with so many small moments that one day you will not even notice that your phone has been quiet. And when that happens, something begins to move. And do you know the strange thing about what happens when you stop chasing? Something changes, not immediately, not all at once, but you will feel it. First, your chest becomes lighter, as if something you had been carrying for years has finally been lifted. You no longer wait for every sound from the phone. You no longer let every day depend on whether someone calls or does not call. And while you are filling your life again, people notice, even if you do not say a word, even if you do not show it, they can feel it, especially your children, because they were used to you being the one who always reached out. They were used to you calling first. You were always the one reaching out. You were always the one looking for them. You were always there. But now you are quiet. And that is when the questions begin in their minds. Is Dad okay? What is he doing? Why is he not calling anymore? And slowly, they begin to remember you, not because you chase them, but because the old version of you, the one who always kept chasing, is no longer there. And then one day, the phone rings. Suddenly, unexpectedly, you look at the screen and you see their name. And in that moment, you are not the same person who used to sit there waiting. You are not the same man who begged for attention. You are someone with a life of your own now, with your own peace, with your own joy. And when you answer that call, they will feel it. They will feel that they can no longer treat you like you are invisible. They will feel that you are not just sitting there waiting for them anymore. And do you know what happens then? They may want to stay. They may want to listen, because people are drawn to someone who is whole, not someone who is broken and only waiting to be rescued. But listen to me. This is not a guarantee. This is not magic. Because there is still one more truth. You have to accept, no matter how painful it is, sometimes, no matter what you do, they may never come back. No matter how good you are, no matter how much you change, no matter how deeply you love them, there are people in this life, even people who share your own blood, who will still choose to walk away. And if that day comes, if you rebuild yourself, if you find peace again, and they still do not return, You have to accept it, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with peace. Let them go. Set them free, even if it hurts. Because you cannot force another person to love you, but you can choose not to let their absence destroy you. You're not measured by who visits you every week. You're not measured by how often your phone rings. You're measured by the person you see in the mirror. And if you can still stand up every day, even alone, even in silence, even when it hurts sometimes, then you have already won. My phone has not rung in 3 months, but later today, I will go outside. I will stop by the store. I will buy myself something I like. I will talk to someone, even if it is only for a moment. And then I will come back home. My house may be quiet, but there is peace here now, and I will keep living. If they want to come back, my door is open. My heart is open. But I am not waiting anymore. And you, if you listened all the way to the end, maybe that was not an accident. Maybe you needed to hear this today. If you want to hear more stories like this, honest words, quiet reminders from the heart, you can stay here with me, walk with me. Because as long as someone is listening, there is still a story that needs to be told. And if any part of this touched you, even a little, you can show it with one simple click. So this can reach someone else, someone whose house is quiet too, someone who is still waiting. And if you want to be here for the next stories, for the lessons I have learned after all these long years, you are welcome to stay. I will not force you. I will not beg you. I am just here telling the story, waiting, not to chase you, but to sit beside you.